Billy Joe Saunders, thanks again for talking to Bayloric TV.
No problem, it's always a pleasure.
Okay, the last time we spoke, we were waiting for Chris Eubank Jr to turn up to the interview, to turn up to the press conference. He didn't, and now he's turned up. What's your feelings been since he's turned up to that press conference?
No, listen, there's no feelings. You know, he's not like a Floyd Mayweather or no one like that, is he? He's, you know, he's just down to his average boxer. He's contracted to turn up, so I knew that he was turning up there. Frank had a previous conversation with his dad and told him how it was. Obviously, he got him to turn up.
See, online, a lot of the people that are supporters, a lot of the supporters of Billy Joe Saunders, the question mark is two things. Question number one is, are you too dismissive of Chris Eubank Jr? And question number two is the retirement thing. That's in your mind. You're talking about you would retire.
Yeah.
What made you think that in the first place?
I said it when I boxed John Ryder.
Okay.
50-50 fight, everyone was backing him. Most people was backing him. Like probably, well, I won't say most people. It was probably 50% of the public was backing him, and the same with me. I said it then. I come through on off night, and I'm saying it again. But this time, I'm not losing £7-8 the night before.
But that's the biggest concern. People are saying, well, you're talking about retirement, and that's extra pressure on you. If things are not working out in the first couple of rounds for you, and you've got that thing in your mind, well, you know, I'll retire if I don't win this, does that heap any more pressure on you?
Listen, the more pressure on me, the better I perform. I'm one of them. I don't fold underneath pressure. I've never ever done it in my life.
Okay.
You know, when you're 16, 17, you know, and you're fighting for a #1 spot at the Olympic Games, and there's world-class elite fighters, you can't afford to get pressured. You know, you've got to deal with it. Even though the pressure's there, you can't let it get to you. I've put it on, but pressure won't be getting to me. There is no pressure. There is nothing. If my training wasn't right and I was heavy than like now and stuff like that, I'll be pressured.
Right.
You know, but I knew I was going away this camp, and I knew that I was benefit from it, and I'm confident. I'm not arrogant.
Okay.
I'm just very confident what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it.
The question would be asked, you've said that Chris Eubank is shit, he's this, he's that, he's the other. Why would you take yourself away to a training camp and get yourself in the best possible shape, but then be dismissive of the fighter that you're going to fight?
Well, you know, it's a business box, isn't it? You know, we all don't know if he's shit, if he's good or not, but, you know, the way you got to look at it is dismissive. If I was the underdog here, I'm not saying like I'm the favourite or nothing like that, you know, because the public's got their own opinion, but if I was fighting, let's just say, if I was fighting Miguel Cotto,
Right.
I wouldn't be as dismissive, because what he's achieved, what he's done, who he's boxed. What do people want me to do? Talk about him like he's unbelievable, to try and sell the show that he's an unbelievable talent. He knocks out this. People's going to say, you're talking rubbish, mate, to sell that show. Who has he knocked out? He's knocked out Journeyman. So if I was saying that, I wouldn't win. So if I tell the truth, if you don't like it, you don't like it. If you do, you do. Simple as that. I'm not being dismissive of him, but I don't want to keep talking how good he is and what he does brilliant. You're
focusing on yourself.
That's it.
Because you're the champion.
And that's what I'm getting across. You know, I'm not being arrogant or disrespectful. Maybe stages I have. Yeah. Maybe stages I have, but it's a business, you know.
But is that more bravado, or is that really the fact that you don't like him?
People knows me, you know. I'm not one of these persons that, you know, is bullying this and that, but I just don't like his arrogance. I don't like the way he goes on. If I don't like someone, I'm one of them. I just don't like them. Simple as that.
But does that make you train any harder, or does that make you focus any better because you're fighting now somebody that you have a dislike towards?
Nah, listen, this fight, I knew how big it was. It's been building for 2 years. Right. So I know at the stage what this was going to be. Right. And I don't want to go and be the old Billy Joe Saunders getting in there, dying up, 7-8. I want to be 7, picking it up to 12 on that home straight. Not, you know, but that part of that was my own fault. Last time out, I should be embarrassed to say at £6.5 overweight the night before the weigh-in. Just a joke, absolute joke. You know, imagine how much training I had to do to lose that. I lost. I left my fight on the scales, and that's one thing I would not be doing here. You see me there today, and I'm looking very sharp. In the weight I am, I've never ever felt like this. You know, I'm not saying now I'm signing a contract that I'm going to beat him, but I'm just confident and believe what I'm going to do. You know, I know what I'm going to do. It's in my head, and I know I'm fit enough. I'm in the best shape. Got the right people around me. listen to my instructions,
okay.
get the win.
You're the experienced fighter here. You're the one who's got the great amateur background. You're the one who's British, Commonwealth, European champion. Experience can only be effective if you're able to use it, right? Chris Eubank Jr. has an unorthodox style. Being unorthodox, what have you had to do in sparring and to prepare for somebody who sort of like poses halfway in the middle of a fight and throws unorthodox punches?
Well, that's because he's been let to get away with that. The opposition he's been fighting, he can afford to walk down with his chin out and let him punch him on the chin and then throw back at him. He's not allowed to do that to me. Do you think when I'm in there I'm going to let him throw an uppercut and then do all this and look at me? No, he has to work. See, people think I'm going to go in there and pick, conserve, pick. The reason why I've done that before in previous fights, Nick Blackwell, John Ryder, and all that, because I haven't added the energy in me. Right. I haven't had it because of the weight draining. Yeah. You know, anyone will tell you the hardest thing in boxing is making the weight properly. This has gone bang on, and I'm now for 3-4 days out after the fight, and I've never felt that. Never performed at the weight I am now. I can fight now if I want to. You know, so what I'm going to be like another stone on me. Right. You know, sharp, stronger. You know, I've been sparring a light heavyweight. Right. And you know, he's a strong light heavyweight.
So how much do you weigh walk around weight, would you say? Normally? Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, how much do you weigh normally? Well,
probably a week before my last fight, I was probably about a stone and 2 pound over. A week and a half out. That was before my last fight.
12 and a half stone, maybe 12?
Yeah,
12
yeah, about 12.4.
So could you make super middle?
Listen, I'm a middle. I found this out now. I mean, through this camp, yeah, I've been sparring at 11.11. You know, and performing at 11.11. Well, I've never done that before. Right. Well, it's always when I've been 11.11, 11.10, I've always been dead. Like, I can't talk to you, and I can't. Like, yeah. I'm just doing less as possible, but I feel energised, ready to go. Right. You know, weighed in there a minute ago. You know, me weight, bang, smack on where I need to be. If I want it to be, I could be on the weight tonight.
Is there anyone you fought previously that you can say, I can take that experience in and say, against this guy?
Nick Blackwell.
That was the fight I was actually thinking about there.
Nick Blackwell. I mean, when I boxed Nick Blackwell, you know, I always trained hard, yeah, but I've never done the weight properly, you know. But when I boxed him, he pushed me and pushed me and pushed me, but he pushed me to a extent where, because I didn't do the weight properly, it just wasn't there. You know, John Ryder, it wasn't there. My last fight, I won it, it wasn't there. You know, and when you get away with it and you don't learn from it, it takes for someone to get beat to learn. But I've learned from my last fight. I learned so much that, and the best thing is what I learned is that I didn't get beat and learn. I won and I learned. I don't want to be one of them to get beat and think, should have done that, didn't do the weight. I know what went wrong.
How much does physical strength and punching power come into this fight?
Listen, if I want to stand there and I want to have a trade with him, you know, it's whoever wants to hit each other first. You know, people think that I'm going to be there, pick, move. No, listen, I will be trading with him. I knew leave this for me now. I will be trading.
No hype. This is proper.
This is proper. Yeah, I will be trading with him. He asked me yesterday in front of the press, "Will you trade and will you do this?" But I'm not going to answer his questions because he's asked me. Yeah. But I will be trading with him. He's never been pushed before. Never been pushed. I will push him.
Boxers have a community, and they're in a community, and boxers know trainers, and trainers know fighters and coaches. And have you heard anything about Chris Eubank's training outside of the sparring session with Froch and the recent sparring session with the light heavyweight?
No, I don't. Listen, I don't look into it. You know, you get a lot of media going on, putting up, and you know, you hear a lot of rubbish and someone telling you this, but I don't take notice of anything. Sparring is completely different. I've sparred fighters on my 10th fight, and the fighters have been in the top 3 in the middleweight back then, and I'm not going to say I beat them up, but they certainly didn't beat me up. Don't mean I was ready for them. Just not me. No disrespect to Carl Froch. If I achieve what he's done, I'll be over the moon. Right. He's achieved so much. Right. But he's not the hardest man to it, is he? No. We all know that.
Interesting. Finally, I asked your trainer, would you fight Billy Joe Saunders if you were Chris Eubank Jr.'s trainer? Let me ask you the question. Would you fight Chris Eubank Jr.? Would you fight Chris Eubank Jr.? No, would you fight Billy Joe Saunders?
all depends. Listen, it's about business.
Right.
And it's good business. So yeah.
You take the fight.
Listen, if I beat him, I should have beat him. If I don't beat him, he's got all 3 belts, pocket full of money, and gains all the respect.
And you?
If I beat him, I've got all to lose. If I get beat, I've got all to lose.
And you lose, what happens?
Retire. He hasn't. He's got all to gain.
Why take the chance?
Because I know, I believe in my ability. I could have picked a Romanian to come over, a Brazilian, but why do that? Why do that when I know what I'm capable of, and I'm going to show people? I don't want to move on to world stage and you left one man, Brian, who you ducked.
Yeah.
No, I'll take him first. And who else is there for me to beat in England before I become world champion? Name one. Name one more out of this. Just one. Who could I fight middleweight, domestic level, before I move on to the world stage? Name one.
Nobody really. I mean, Barker's retired, Macklin got knocked out, Andy Lee's fighting for a world title, and Murray's going to fight GGG.
There we go. Then I will be, this time next year, I will be world champion.
Billy Joe Saunders, thank you so much for talking to BWTM.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.